In life, we often hold on to things far beyond their expiration date. We resist endings, whether it's a relationship, a job, or a dream that didn't unfold the way we imagined. The idea of closure can be daunting, even painful, because we fear what comes after. We are creatures of habit, and we tend to find comfort in the familiar, even when that familiarity is hurting us. But the truth is, letting something end is one of the most powerful acts of self-liberation we can experience. There is a tendency to cling to the past, to hold on to moments that no longer serve us. It could be a friendship that has run its course, a career that no longer ignites passion, or a goal that we've chased for years without success. This is the reason we hold on to these things is often out of fear. We fear change, we fear the unknown, and we fear that without that relationship, job, or dream, we may somehow lose a part of ourselves. However, the reality is that holding on to what's over only keeps us from fully embracing what's ahead. When we resist the end, we deny ourselves the opportunity to step into the new things that are waiting for us. The power of closure comes from the space it creates. Every ending, no matter how painful, is an opportunity for something new to begin. But we cannot make room for the new until we've let go of the old. When a chapter ends, it marks the beginning of another, but only if we are willing to close the book. Too often, we want to stay in the old chapter because we fear what the next one holds. Yet each ending, no matter how difficult, contains within it the seeds of a new beginning. Think about the seasons in nature. When winter comes, the trees shed their leaves, the flowers fade, and everything seems to slow down or stop. On the surface, it may appear like life has ended, but beneath the surface, everything is preparing for new growth. Without winter, there would be no spring. In the same way, we need the endings in our lives to create space for the new growth God wants to bring into our lives. Without letting something end, we cannot truly experience the beauty of what comes next. Letting it end requires us to embrace the discomfort of change. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. It's easy to stay where things are familiar, even if that familiarity is not healthy. The fear of being without what we once had can make us hold on tightly, even when we know deep down that it's time to let go. But sometimes the greatest act of faith is acknowledging that it's over and releasing it. Ending something is not a failure. In fact, it takes strength and courage to recognize when something has reached its natural conclusion. It's a sign of growth to understand when it's time to move on, and to do so with grace and wisdom. We all go through seasons in life where something must end before we can step into something better. It might not make sense at first, but as we allow ourselves to release what has ended, we open ourselves to the possibility of something far greater than we could have imagined. Healing is not something that happens overnight. It is not something that can be rushed or forced. Healing is a journey, and it's a process that requires time, patience, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. Too often, we want the quick fix, the immediate relief, but real healing doesn't work that way. It is not just about erasing the pain, it's about transforming it. Healing happens when we allow ourselves to feel, to process, and to move through the brokenness instead of avoiding it or pushing it away. The first step in the healing process is acknowledging the hurt. Whether it's the aftermath of a failed relationship, the loss of a loved one, or the disappointment of an unfulfilled dream, there is no healing without recognition. You cannot heal from what you refuse to face. Many of us try to avoid pain because we fear it will overwhelm us. We cover it up with distractions, busyness, or even denial, thinking that if we just ignore it long enough, it will go away. But the truth is, healing requires us to confront the pain head on. Only by acknowledging the hurt can we begin to address it and allow it to heal properly. Once we face the pain, we need to give ourselves permission to feel it. So often we're told to move on or get over it, as if there's a timeline for grief or for recovering from deep emotional wounds. But the reality is that emotions don't follow a set schedule. Healing doesn't come from suppressing or minimizing our feelings. It comes from allowing ourselves to fully experience them. It's okay to feel sad, angry, confused, or frustrated. Those emotions are valid. They are part of the healing process. When we allow ourselves to feel, we create space for those emotions to be processed, understood, and eventually released. Healing can only happen when we honor the emotions tied to the hurt, not when we try to bypass them. Another crucial aspect of healing is time. Healing doesn't happen on our terms. We live in a world that prizes instant gratification, and we often apply that mindset to our emotional and spiritual well-being. But real healing takes time. It's a gradual process, and each day is one step closer to recovery, even when it doesn't feel like it. Just as a physical wound takes time to heal, so does the heart. We can't rush the process, and we shouldn't expect to see immediate results. Instead, we must trust that each moment of pain and each step of discomfort is part of the larger picture of healing. As we move through this journey, we must also be open to the idea that healing often comes in unexpected ways. Sometimes the healing we think we need isn't the healing that will truly restore us. God's way of healing is not always the way we expect it to happen. Sometimes it's through unexpected relationships, new opportunities, or personal revelations. We might not always see it in a moment, but healing often comes in the form of growth. Growth that is birthed out of the very pain we are experiencing. Ultimately, healing leads to wholeness. It doesn't erase the pain, but it transforms it. It takes what was broken and makes it stronger. It doesn't mean that we forget what happened or that we are unaffected by it, but it means that we can move forward in a new way with renewed strength, faith, and resilience. Healing doesn't make us perfect, but it makes us whole. And that wholeness is a testimony of the power of restoration and the faithfulness of the process. Pain is a universal experience. At some point in life, we all face hurt, whether emotional, physical, or spiritual. It's an unavoidable part of the human condition. And yet, despite its inevitability, many of us are conditioned to avoid pain at all costs. We try to numb it, run from it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But the truth is, pain, when acknowledged and allowed to exist, has the potential to transform us in ways comfort and ease cannot. The first step in the process of healing and growth is allowing ourselves to feel the pain. Too often we are told to stay strong or move on when we experience hurt. We suppress our emotions because we fear that acknowledging the pain will make it worse or that we'll be consumed by it. However, pain only has the power to control us when we refuse to face it. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It only hides it under the surface where it festers and grows. Acknowledging the pain means that we give ourselves permission to feel. It's okay to cry, to be angry, to grieve, or to feel lost. These emotions are real and valid. They are not signs of weakness, but signs of humanity. We are often taught to be strong, to press through, and to never show vulnerability. But there is incredible strength in allowing ourselves to fully experience our pain. In fact, it is through this process that we often find deeper healing, because only by facing the hurt can we begin to process it and let it go. Acknowledging pain also means that we stop running from it. We are conditioned to seek comfort, to escape from things that make us uncomfortable. We avoid difficult conversations, tough situations, and hard truths. But in avoiding pain, we never give ourselves the opportunity to understand it. Pain, when confronted head-on, teaches us something about ourselves, our boundaries, and our capacity for growth. It can be a mirror showing us what needs to be healed within us and where we need to grow. Furthermore, pain helps us appreciate joy more deeply. Life is a series of contrasts: light and dark, love and loss, peace and chaos. Without experiencing pain, we cannot fully appreciate the moments of joy and contentment that life brings. Pain deepens our capacity for empathy, allowing us to connect with others who are suffering in ways that we could never do if we hadn't felt the sting of pain ourselves. It enables us to understand and relate to the struggles of others, and in turn, it builds compassion, humility, and strength in our own hearts. Another critical truth is that pain has a way of refining us. Just as metal is purified by fire, our character and faith are often strengthened through the trials we face. When we allow ourselves to hurt, we give ourselves permission to be transformed. Pain can teach us endurance, patience, and resilience. It strips away our self-sufficiency and forces us to rely on something greater than ourselves. Through pain, we often discover the depth of our faith and the strength that lies within us, a strength that we might not have recognized before the hurt. In acknowledging the pain, we are not allowing it to define us. Rather, we are choosing to learn from it, grow through it, and allow it to shape us into something stronger and more compassionate. The pain we experience does not have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of a deeper understanding of ourselves, our purpose, and our ability to endure. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that some things, some people, and even some parts of themselves no longer serve their highest good. Letting go is one of the most powerful acts of self-liberation. And yet, it is one of the hardest to embrace. We hold on to things out of habit, fear, and comfort, not fully realizing that by doing so, we are tying ourselves to something that keeps us from moving forward. Letting go is not about forgetting, it's about releasing the hold that the past has on you and making room for growth, freedom, and new possibilities. The first step in the process of letting go is recognizing that not everything in our lives is meant to be permanent. People, situations, and even seasons of life have their purpose, but they aren't all meant to follow us indefinitely. It's easy to become attached to things that we believe define us, whether that's a job title, a relationship, a possession, or even a belief system. We think that holding on to these things will bring us security or fulfillment, but in reality, it often traps us in the past and prevents us from moving forward into what's next. The first act of freedom is realizing that you have the power to choose what you carry with you into your future. We often resist letting go because we fear the unknown. We fear that if we release what's familiar, we will be left with nothing. We believe that we need certain people, certain comforts, or certain successes to feel validated. But the truth is, holding on to what no longer serves us only limits us. When we choose to hold on to the past, whether that's an old grudge, a past failure, or an identity that no longer fits, we are clinging to a version of ourselves that no longer exists. In doing so, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to grow, to transform, and to evolve into the person we are called to be. Letting go is also about releasing toxic patterns that keep us stuck. Sometimes we hold on to old habits, mindsets, and behaviors simply because they are familiar, even though they hurt us or hold us back. Whether it's a pattern of self-doubt, fear, or insecurity, these patterns become ingrained in our lives.